what values, if any, do you think are unique to this movement?
I think that the sharing economy has a lot of values, but they might not particularly be unique to only the sharing economy. The sharing economy didn't come out of a vacuum. It came out of all these different, systems that we were living in, and so people chose what values they liked from the previous systems and things they wanted to see change. So they want more community. They want to be able to provide lower entries to market for individuals to have their own livelihoods. They want to be able to leverage the technology that exists to not have to be under a boss anymore. So the values that are part of the sharing economy, I think, are part of others.
I think I have a tough time with it being called a movement. It's for me, I stayed in the youth hostel 20 years ago when I was backpacking, and there were 10 of us in there, and it was just a less expensive way for us to share a space. It was like $13 including bacon and eggs or something like that. And I just think it's a much more efficient way to do it. And so people have been doing this and wanting to do it, and then with the downturn in the economy, it's become more important to do it because it's putting people to work and it's putting more income in the pockets of those who are offering their services or their space while making money, while saving money rather for those taking advantage of that. So I don't want to drop a bunch of company names here, but just as an example, there's another company I'm involved with called Peerspace, and I'm sure there are many others like Grassroots Near Me. I mean, it's literally keeping people in business because if you've got a space and you're teaching voice lessons and your rent is $3,000 a month, and it's hard to make that rent, if you can rent it out for $2,000 a month, then you can pay the bills. It's not really a value, it's just becoming, people are more comfortable with sharing their stuff. And I don't necessarily think that's a value, it's just a level of comfort that people have reached, and it's just more, it's more of a norm, a social norm, than a value.
I would disagree slightly, in that what differentiates the sharing economy from any other economy, in my opinion, is the values of it. In the 80s, there was we've seen an evolution of the me, own more. Having property is just a luxury or an ornament on my life tree for everybody to see. And then the economy came crashing down, and we realized that we needed a little help from friends. We needed to share a bit. That we wanted independence, but in many ways we were interdependent on one another and sharing what the resources we had. And that's where a lot of these, if you listen to Brian's story of starting Airbnb, it came down to not being able to make rent that month. There was a design conference in town. He had $1,000 in his bank account. His rent was $1,150. So his friend said, "Why don't we use our space and put it up for this design conference?" And they created Airbnb. Was the first iteration. A lot of these companies have emerged out of times when people realized they really needed somebody else. And they turned to the internet because technology allowed them a quick way to build a platform to monetize it. And then we got on the sharing roller coaster, which has spawned a whole industry, which is really wonderful. And now we're at this intersection where we're talking about grassroots and big business because it's, I think in many ways remembering, so I think we're at that intersection now where as more of these, initial mom and pop companies are receiving $2.2 billion in venture capitalist funding is when we have different conversations about what drives a business and what drives the values and whether that changes things.
Isn't Airbnb big business now?
It's $1 billion business.
So they're doing the same, if not more, in revenue than a Hyatt. So we're comparing the foundation of what's led the sharing economy with big business, and almost some would say, categorizing big business as equal, and there's the sharing economy over here, and how do the two worlds meet? So I mean, they've met in a lot of ways, and Airbnb's done a fabulous job in maintaining a value system.
I don't want to like portray these big companies as evil or anything like that. They're doing what they're legally obligated to do. They're legally obligated to maximize the returns for their shareholders. So it's not like a value, it's just what they're like legally built for.